Somewhere I feel it in my soul. One chance is everything we've waited for. It's our time, so let me take it home and knock it out of this world. That is where we'll be going.
Well, when you hear that World Cup song, you can't help but dance. You saw Lance Whitaker, of course, on my right-hand side, doing a little dance here for us. But with that sound, it means we're switching now to cricket here on the SportsMax zone. Well, it's just 4 days until the T20 Cricket World Cup bowls off, and we move into a different phase of our build-up, where we take a look at the groups and tell you the teams who can potentially make it into the knockout phase of the competition. So let's start today with Group A. Here are the teams in that group: Canada, Ireland, India, Pakistan, and the USA. Well, our cricket analyst, Fazir Mohammed from sweet Trinidad and Tobago, joins us via Zoom. Faz, it's been a while. How are you?
Not too bad at all, and I'm happy to at least see Lance doing a bit of shaking. I know he's big on the karaoke, but I didn't know that he had the excellent dance moves as well. Well done.
Faz, Lance is a star boy, so he can get the job done. He'll dance, he'll sing, he's a performer. All right, so just a couple days away from the World Cup, whenever we hear that song, it's business time, Faz. And today we're looking at Group A, and I think it's fitting that we start with India. I want to start with India because, outright favorites when it comes to this group, but still so many different storylines to focus on. Let's talk about their captain, Rohit Sharma, who will be hoping, Faz, to, of course, walk away with that T20 World Cup title this year. How are they looking?
They're looking good, but again, as we saw with the 50-over World Cup, looking good all the way through and then not delivering in the final, that's where it really matters. And that's what happened in the 50-over World Cup on Indian soil. And it spoiled what they were certainly hoping would have been the biggest cricket party since they won the World Cup in 2011. Of course, there was a famous victory over the West Indies in 1983. So India have a situation where everyone knows of the quality of their players. We see them all the time in the IPL. We see them when they represent their country. Indeed, some of the players who have been left out of the Indian squad would walk into most other teams. So make no bones about it, India will be not just one of the favorites to win this group, but of course to make it all the way to the semi-finals and possibly lift the title as well. But it seems the challenge for India is not just getting it together with all the physical attributes of their players, but psychologically. Because again, you've got that intense rivalry with Pakistan that is going to happen in this same grouping, and that could very well be an indicator as to how India or Pakistan go for the rest of the tournament. So yes, to answer your question, there's no debate about the quality that India will give you. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, all of their quality, the batters, the bowling is top class as well. But again, you expect them to make the Super 8s, you expect them to make the semi-finals, but can they get over whether it's a psychological hurdle, whether it's about coping with the weight of expectation from their billion-plus followers? That seems to be the real challenge for India.
Yeah, and speaking about that psychological barrier, and you also touched on the IPL, which is definitely where I want to go, because Virat Kohli was the star of the IPL when it came to, of course, the bat. He was dominating with the bat. Faz, do you think he can convert that and, get over that psychological hurdle? Because I tend to find that from time to time, players light up franchise cricket, but when it's time to put on their national colours, it's as if it's a different player.
It's a different challenge. The same can't be said of Virat Kohli because he's someone who really relishes playing for India. But as you mentioned, the IPL, Virat Kohli was the star for RCB, but they couldn't even reach the final.
Yes.
So again, it brings home that point that you can be a team of stars, but you really want to have a star team. It's not good enough, and we see that happening so many times. New Zealand are a classic case in point. A team that plays regularly, way above expectations, because the sum of their parts is greater than how you would assess the individual players. But again, you look at the Indian team, we talk about the IPL. I think you need to almost forget about the IPL
Yeah.
because the pitches are not going to be the same. There's a tremendous level of unknown when it comes to the nature of the pitches, and therefore all of this 260 to 70 to 80 getting 250 and losing and so on, and sixes and fours are plenty. I don't get the sense that it's going to be the same storyline. I certainly in the Caribbean with the pitches that we have, and possibly in the United States as well. So yes, form in the IPL is a good guide, it's a good pointer. But what we saw as far as the manner of stroke play in the IPL, I don't expect to see it replicated in the World Cup.
Yeah, and Faz, you also, when you were talking to me in the first response, you touched on Pakistan being a challenge for India when you look at the rest of the teams in the group, right? And if I were to think about Pakistan too, Faz, they've had a bumpy lead up into this World Cup because, you know, getting rid of their coaches, bringing in new coaches, then of course, Babar Azam back as captain after Shaheen Shah Afridi getting that little stint. So to me, it's like all the different teams, and Pakistan is the focus now, having a lot of, you know, bumpiness leading up to this World Cup.
And what hasn't helped is the rain in England because their latest T20 international was washed out again today.
Right.
So both Pakistan and England are short of proper match practice as a team coming into this T20. But given what we know about Pakistan, you wouldn't be surprised if they go on and win the thing because that just seems to be the norm for Pakistan. Some sort of chaos or the other, some sort of bacchanal going on in the background. Who wants to be captain? Who doesn't want to be captain? Who feels slighted by being replaced and is going to reject any offer, again, of appeasement with the reappointed captain? New coach, new selectors, new this, new that, new the other. And yet still, Pakistan, who you'll recall from the 2022 World T20, they lost a thriller to India in their opening encounter in Australia, yet went all to the way to the final where they lost disappointingly to England. So you're never quite sure what you're going to get with Pakistan. Again, that rivalry with India, it's psychological, it's ideological, it's religious, it's very intense. You can't get away from it. In fact, it's really something that is fixed in the schedule. You would normally think in international sport that there's a proper draw for groupings. Well, the ICC have mandated that India and Pakistan will always be in the same preliminary group for obvious reasons, because of the attraction of that particular encounter, money-wise, viewership-wise. But again, as you said, you would think that Pakistan would come into this tournament maybe a bit rusty, ring rusty, a bit wanting for more match practice. But again, it's Pakistan. You never know what could happen with them.
Yeah, I take your point there, Faz. And although we know Canada, Ireland, and the United States are also in that Group A, which we'll look briefly at the moment, the point that you've made about Pakistan not being a team that you should underestimate reminds you a bit of those derbies sometimes, Faz, because don't mind the fact that Pakistan are ranked 7th in the world at the moment and India #1. As a former Liverpool fan, you would remember the Merseyside derbies when Everton and Liverpool battled. You ignore the form because when that derby comes up, anything plays, and Pakistan has energy for India, and I respect the fact that India will also recognize that they can't overlook them.
Absolutely, and you reference that it's your football form. Liverpool lost the Merseyside derby 2-0. It was described as one of the worst performances under Jurgen Klopp. And again, the FA Cup final just last Saturday, hands down, Man City would have been the favourites. Yet Manchester United came away with the trophy. So again, as you quite rightly said, Lance, on any given day, you can expect a team to rise to the occasion. We've seen that with the United States, who may not make it to the Super 8s, but we've seen them win a series against Bangladesh. They have Corey Anderson, former New Zealand player, former record holder for the fastest T20 100. You have Ali Khan, who we know very, very well from the CPL. So getting back to that Pakistan-India situation, form will say India, But everybody knows that Pakistan taking on India, really you can throw away the form book and watch the match itself.
Yeah, and the Group A matches, all of them, Faz, will be played in the United States, from Florida to Texas to New York and so on. How does this impact the group? Because there are going to be venues and pitch conditions that these players would be unfamiliar with.
They might be unfamiliar, but I don't think they should be using it as an excuse if they fall short, because these are top quality international caliber cricketers, and therefore they will be required to make the necessary adjustments if that is the case. I don't think it's acceptable when players, if they're playing as we see in the IPL, on a series of batting paradise surfaces, and then from the moment they face the slightest bit of challenge, where the ball may not be coming on, where there's something in it for the slow bowlers, where it's sticking, where it might be a sticky sort of surface. From the moment that happens, they have ready-made excuses. Well, this to me is the measure of a cricketer, whether batting or bowling, that you should be able to, if you really consider yourself a world-class performer, to make the necessary adjustments. And yes, there is a significant element of the unknown with the surfaces in the Caribbean, which I think most international cricketers would know reasonably well, but more so in the United States. As you said, I mean, they're building a brand new venue in New York for that game on June the 9th between India and Pakistan. And you're never quite sure what's going to happen. Curators might tell you, well, don't worry, it's going to play through and so on. Next thing you know, you turn up, there's a bit of rain around, it's a bit sticky on the surface, and then it makes a difference. So all of these elements play into what should be some intriguing contests. I really want to see the likes of the USA, the likes of Ireland, the likes of Canada be competitive, because it's not just turning up and being smashed to all parts and then just being grateful that you appeared in a World Cup, because you really want to see the game grow in those particular countries.
Yeah, and you referenced earlier on, Faz, that a lot of these countries, USA and Canada, have players who are from other territories. The Canadian team has two Guyanese in their setup, Jeremy Gordon and Dylan Heliger, and the Barbadian batsman Nicholas Curtin. So these are players who have a background of, coming from cricket culture territories. But I want to go back quickly to the point you made earlier on about India's strength based on their roster, and the fact that there are Indian players who can't make the Indian team, who would probably make any other team in world cricket at the moment. Having said that, in recent ICC championships, would you label India as an underperforming team, given the fact that they have, based on their roster, so many match winners, obvious quality with their white ball players, but not having the requisite titles to illustrate that?
Absolutely. You might almost want to go as far as saying that they are chokers on the big occasion. Yeah. And they may take offense to that. But again, just look back to the last 50 over World Cup, winning every match in sight and then being comprehensively beaten in the final. In the Champions Trophy against Pakistan, 2017, comprehensively beaten by Pakistan yet again. India will go into every ICC tournament. They lost also in the World Test Championship final to Australia in the last English summer. So yes, they have the quality to lift the title. But is it because they are overawed by the big occasion? Is it a combination of that weight of expectation? Because again, we know that India playing in the United States is like India playing at home, because the Indian diaspora, the subcontinental diaspora in the United States is massive. So again, there will be that weight of expectation. Wherever they go, Indian cricketers are surrounded by thousands of not just fans, but fanatics who seem to live and die based on everything that India does as far as their cricketers, especially the male cricketers. The women are gaining that stature as well, and that's good to see. So yes, they have to get that monkey off their back. Or indeed, more and more, they're going to be labeled as chokers on the big occasion.
Yeah, Faz, and it's just a couple of days left until that big occasion. We're hoping that we can chat with you again really soon. And I want to thank you for taking the time to appear on the SportsMax Zone.
My pleasure. Take care.
All right, Fazir Mohammed there from Trinidad and Tobago. Well, we're going to take a quick break and come right back. This time, we'll be talking football.
collaborating. You see the boundaries that we break when we should have been celebrating. This moment is all that I've been dreaming of. To this world, somewhere I feel it in my soul. In my champion thing. One chance is everything we've waited for. No, it's our time.